Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds Tales podcast. On this episode, we'll be finishing up our episode with Lakehills Kennels with Mr. Paul West. I've got a lot of positive feedback from last week's episode, and man, I just cannot thank y'all enough. I thoroughly enjoyed that one. I got some cool stuff coming down the pipe, guys, so hopefully all of it pans out and we can make these great episodes like this one and last week's episode keep coming to y'all. But before we get back into it, let's start off like we've been doing. We're going to start off with our inspirational quote, and that is, "Opportunity is missed by most people because it is dressed in overalls and it looks like work." It's just a random quote, didn't have anybody's name behind it. I thought that one was really neat. And then our scripture for the week is, do you not know? Have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the ends of the earth. He will not grow tired or weary, and his understanding no one can fathom. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. That's from Isaiah 40:28 and 29. I hope both of those maybe spoke to a few people. I want to take a second and just talk about our weekend before we get started. We were very blessed this weekend down at the Tiewater at Billy Pools. Was able to snag third GTP with a dog that I got just not too long ago from Mr. Bucky Jones. He was the one that raised it up and hunted it throughout most of its life, and he allowed me to purchase this dog for him about 2 months ago. I've seen that dog in a few hunts, and I had spoken to him about it, and I thought that was something worth mentioning on here. I talk all the time on here about, and a lot of my guests talk about judging, getting on the field, watching and seeing what you like, seeing what's doing good, seeing what's winning hunts, and sometimes you're presented with an opportunity like I was and was able to purchase the hound that I liked watching. Of course, it was a big white dog, so it automatically stuck out to me. But I watched that dog in 2 hunts, and I'd spoken to Bucky about it, and Bucky was a man of his word, and said even next time, or whenever he decided it was time to move the dog, that he would let me know. And he messaged me and offered me the dog, and I took him up on it, and here we go. We had success with him. So I can't take all the credit for it. I've had him for about 2 months, so I just kind of let him do all the hard work, and then I maintained it and brought it here, and had a good weekend with him. So, but no, in all seriousness, thank you again, Bucky. I really do appreciate you allowing me to purchase such a fine hound, and hopefully we can continue to do good with him. We had quite a few other dogs down here. Didn't quite have the luck with them like we wanted to. It was a lot of these dogs, a lot of mine's first hunt, so I can't complain with so much. It was a good learning experience for them. I was hoping for a little bit more out of some of them, but we'll take what we can get sometimes, and you just got to roll with the punches and don't give up on a dog too quick. So hopefully we can make a little noise here in the future with some of these other ones. And I will say I'm super proud of another one of mine. Not to try to sound like I'm bragging, but I thought this was a kind of a cool story. I sent my champion back down with some buddies of mine down to Tar River for the James River, and he was sitting 8th after the first day, but had a small puncture wound from a stick or something in his in between his toes, and I was a little worried about him, but I told my buddies, I said, well, y'all doctor on him, see what you can do, see what you can get him healed up and get him fixed up, and then got him enough to where it sealed on back up good enough to run him, and he wasn't really feeling it the next day. Next day he dropped back to about 23rd, 24th, and then to finish the hunt, he pulled back up to about 13th or 14th, so I am definitely not mad at that. I'm super proud of him for the heart that he showed to carry on with the injured foot. I mean, I trusted my buddy's judgments, and they said that, I fully agree that he was perfectly okay to be casted, and he casted and showed how tough he was. We checked on it again today, and still looks great. So no infections. He's all good. And I'm just super proud of that dog, man. He's had 2 good years down there, and Memorial Day weekend's been a very, very big blessing for me the past 3 years. So, but all right, guys, I know y'all don't want to hear me ramble on, but I do want to mention this. I did get to talk about the Tiewater a little bit more, talk about the weekend before we get into the episode. I do apologize. It was so great seeing everybody down there. Got to meet a lot of new people, seeing all new faces. One of the big ones that I thought was cool, got to meet some Canadians. Got to meet Mr. Rob Woods, and I hope I'm not speaking out of line here. Maybe I believe it was his wife. Was down there, got to speak to them for a few minutes and talk to them, and they brought them hunting dogs down here. I was joking around with them and was talking with them about that, and said, well, you know, if all they're used to is coyotes up there, I guess they're hunting around for a coyote in the fox pen. That's what they're doing. But no, that was just a joke. And in all seriousness, it was very cool to see them come down here and have success. We'll talk about it in the spotlight. They ended up winning the Classy Hounds with the one dog that was racking up some hunting scores. So really cool to see that. Got to meet a lot of new people. Sorry if I'm not calling everybody out by name. I'm terrible with names, so you probably told it to me or I knew who you were and then I forgot it. So I'm sorry. I'm terrible about that. But we were able to kennel up and close and right beside Mr. John Molnar, who's getting married this upcoming weekend. So congratulations, buddy, on that. And it's we joking, kid, but it'll be one of the happiest days of your life. I promise you, brother. I hope all's well, goes well for y'all this weekend, and hope y'all a lifetime of happiness, buddy. Trying to think. Big shout out to buddy Lock On, Peyton Lucy. Allowed me to use his camper this weekend, so that kind of kept me close and kept me around everybody. So, but man, it was just a joy. I know another one I want to give a big shout out to, and it was really cool. And then there was a lot of people down there with family and all that kind of good stuff, man. And J.R. Ellers, we got to hang out a lot with him this weekend, and he had his wife and his girls down there, and they were able to land some in the Derby class, and it was just so cool seeing them girls so excited to go up there and get up there and be up there with the awards and the dogs and all that kind of stuff. It was that's what it's all about. It really is. And I thought that was just so neat, and that it really had me thinking. It was like, there's no other sport, there's no other environment that I can think of where you can compete on these kind of levels with so many different people, with kids running around and having a good time. They're not in danger. They're just out there being kids, having fun, surrounded by dogs, surrounded by good people that are willing to help you. I mean, me and J-Mo talked about it at the hunt. It was like, me and him were bombing stuff off each other the whole weekend. Like, hey, you got any of this? You got any acetone? You got any of this? You got any foot medicine? You got any extra this or whatever? Whatever it might be. If we had it and they needed it, you gave it to them. There's no questions. If somebody come up to me and was like, hey, man, do you got any foot wrap? Do you got any wrap? I got a dog that's got a cut. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to get it. Like I said, kids just running around, having a good time. I mean, there was kids throwing baseball behind our where we were kenneled up, throwing baseball back and forth while we were painting dogs. Gosh, it's so cool to see. It's such a good environment. Kid friendly, everybody's down there. It's really such a blessing. And shout out to the Tiewater for putting on another great hunt. They do a lot for the kids too. If y'all have kids, both days they had kids activities right around noon. They had kids activities with paints and games and toys and kid giveaways and kid raffles and all that kind of good stuff, man. So It really is just I love the sport so much, guys. I really do. I love it so much, and weekends like this weekend just remind you why. You go down there, and you get to enjoy yourself, be around good people, and so just shout out to everybody that was down there, was a part of it, and all the other hunts. It goes across the board, but really good to see everybody. Congrats to everybody that placed, and we'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the spotlight. But all right, now I won't hold y'all up anymore. Let's go ahead and get to the episode and finish this thing out, guys. All right, here we go. Drop the gate. Welcome, everybody, to the Hounds Tales podcast. This is your home for field trialing and deer dog hunting. It'll be stories and discussions on the world of dog hunting. So let's drop the gate, cast your hounds, and get ready for another episode of the Hounds Tales podcast. The Hounds Tales podcast is proud to partner with Outdoor Dog Supply again for the 2025 season. Outdoor Dog Supply is the leader in online garment sales with their world-class trade-in programs. These guys are not just a business, they're also houndsmen and women too. They test their products out in the field and really put them to the test. Get the latest in garment equipment, stay locked and ready with field trial equipment, collars, leashes, and so much more. Visit their website today at outdoordogsupply.com, and we want to thank Outdoor Dog Supply for their support not only for the podcast, but in the field trials across the country. When you're looking for your next purchase and equipment, keep Outdoor Dog Supply in mind. Now let's get this episode started, guys. Thank y'all so much. Let's talk about your World Cup dog, about your Millionaire.
Millionaire, he was a Millionaire's best quality. Well, he was a really good-looking dog.
Mm-hmm.
Dog moved hard, classy moving dog. He won classiest hound many times.
Right.
But his best trait for me was outside.
Okay.
That dog, we bred to that dog because of his outside ability and his speed. He was hard to run on outside.
Gotcha.
Had a high ringing mouth, and he could run. Now he's produced. And I tell you what, the sign of a producer is a dog that produces itself, and that's hard for a dog to do.
Yes.
And if you can see the traits of the stud dog in their offspring, then that's saying a whole lot. And you might breed 100 gyps to a dog, and you never see that stud dog in their offspring.
Right.
I tell you what, I've seen two dogs that ring a bell to me that showed his traits big time, and that's one recent dog. But the moneymaker, Clark's moneymaker, Dwayne Clark's dog. I tried every way in the world to buy that dog, and I had him bought before he won the All-American, and
it was after that it was over.
After that it was over. But that dog reminded me a lot of Millionaire. The way they moved, the class, and then
right.
The more recent dog, the dog Paul Cassie's got right now, and that dog probably more so than Moneymaker. But man, I watched Slick at the top, the All-American there.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like I was looking at Millionaire that first day when he come around.
No kidding.
Fence there at the gate at Swainsboro.
No kidding. That's we just did recently just did an episode with them and got talking about that dog, and they kind of mentioned the same thing. It's a very eerie, like right down the line style running, just like his predecessors. Now that the Millionaire dog was also a bench champion, correct?
Yeah, he won the World Cup, the championship at the World Cup.
Gotcha. You talk about good looking hounds. That's that seems to be something that keeps falling to the wayside. I know I've mentioned that a few times on this podcast, but man, I love watching a dog that can do both.
Right.
Get up on that bench and look good, and go out in the field and do it as well. That's such a man. You just don't see people care about that no more.
Right.
Never understood that. Never understood it.
Well, we're gonna breed them here. They're gonna look good.
I like it.
They need to look good. You look at them 7 days a week. You run them once or twice.
That's right. Absolutely. So I think that's as far as dogs of the past, that's I think that's a pretty good touch on a lot of your dogs of your past. We'll kind of move into some of your more current situations, your more current dogs.
We're kind of not. I don't want to back you up too much. We're kind of forgetting one of the best hounds I've ever ran, and that'd be Hillbilly, Lakehills Hillbilly.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry, I looked right over him, and I don't know why I did that. Yep, I looked right over that name. Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you caught that.
I've got a lot of good stories with that dog. A lot of good memories with that dog.
Absolutely. Let's talk about it. I see the dual Anfield champion at the Louisiana State.
Oh yeah, he was once. The old fella told me you'll have one good hound in your life, one good horse, and one good truck.
Right.
Well, I've been blessed because I've had a few more, but that's one of my best ones.
Yeah.
And everybody, a lot of stud dogs, a lot of dogs all across this country,
mm-hmm.
and you'll find people that is going to hate on them a little bit. Well, I don't like.
Of course.
I don't like that dog.
Right.
This dog did this. This dog, they want you to run them, past, and it's a fault of mine, a fault of many of us.
Mm-hmm.
We run a really good dog that's been good too long, and people start picking them apart.
Right.
And I've done that on a lot of these dogs we're talking about.
Right.
I ran them because I don't want to turn them loose, and I know what they are, and I just keep running them. But I'll say this for Hillbilly. I don't believe there's anybody out there that could say one bad thing about him. He had a lot of fans, is what I'm trying to say.
I gotcha. Understood. Yep.
He was a grandpup of Rusty.
Okay. Yeah.
On the top, he was out of. I think he might have been out of. I think he was out of goes back to a dog mate to. He was out of a dog mate to. He's got it all flash and fly.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay.
And then on the bottom side, he had some Popeye Helms in him.
Oh, no kidding.
Some of David Helms breeding in him.
No kidding.
And and it was I think it was a Popeye Helms dog. The dog bred to a Lakehills Rusty Jip. So.
Oh wow!
He was Rusty, top and bottom.
Top and bottom, yeah. Yeah.
So
no wonder you got him.
Dog, yeah, that dog was he when you turned him loose, he was a big stout dog, and he paced all the time. A lot of people didn't like that about him, but this dog paced all the time in the pen, back and forth.
Yeah.
Had a field collie, never laid down. But when you turned him loose, he had one thing on his mind. That was catching a coyote. He was gonna do that. In my pen, when he jumped the coyote, if you didn't catch him off of the coyote, he'd catch it. He didn't need any help. He knew what to do with him.
No kidding.
But I ran that dog for many years. That he won the Louisiana State, like I said, dueled. The next year, his sister. There was only two of them.
Right.
His sister won the duel. I think her name was Lakehills Dixie Darling.
Wow.
And he was second. So.
Wow.
I had, and like I said, I placed him third to Top Gun. I placed this dog in the World Cup. I placed that dog everywhere I ever went.
Man.
And I ran him. That dog ran I can remember putting him in a field trial when he was 8 years old.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah, I can remember
That's tough.
when he was 7. We were at Big Hunt in Swainsboro, and I brought him there to breed.
Right.
I had 3 or 4 gyps lined up to breed.
Mm-hmm.
And I can remember Red Dot, John Dot's coming to me.
Right.
He said, Paul, we need one more dog. I think we needed 150 or 200 dogs in all age to make a champion. He said,
Right.
we need one more dog. Or to make it a grade, it was not a champion.
Yeah, to make a grade. Yeah.
Make a grade 1 hunt.
Yeah.
I said, all right, and it was some young boys there that were visiting, just around there looking at puppies or something.
Yeah.
I said, I'll put a number on Hillbilly, and I give him the money. He said, you gonna do that? I said, yeah. And he was 7 years old. And them young boys went to laughing at me, making fun of me. Well, he was.
I just made it serious right there.
Yeah. He was 12 after the first day. And I withdrew him, and I had fun with that. I probably should have withdrawn him.
I was gonna say he might have went on and did something on the next day.
I probably shouldn't have withdrawn him, but there's one better than that. And
oh gosh.
Yeah, the next year the Masters was going to Enid.
Okay. Yeah.
And we were at my pen at in Gina.
Right.
And I was running with Randy and Barry Frazier.
Okay. Yeah.
And those two are two of my favorites now. And
Absolutely.
You're talking about. We briefly discussed Men of God. Randy Frazier, top of the list.
Absolutely. He was one of my favorite guests that I've had on here. Absolutely, one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, I enjoy him and think a lot of that man. But
yes,
anyway, his brother is a character now, and a lot of people don't know that. Barry's just he kind of lays low, but you can have just as much fun with Barry Freay as you can Randy Frazier. But he was sitting there in front of the kitchen at my pen. We were running dogs. They came down there to run, and I had Hillbilly.
Right.
And we'll go back to that measure stick. I ran him all the time, and I watched a lot of young dogs. I watched run with him to see.
Mm-hmm.
And Barry said, Paul, he said, why are you running that old dog?
Right.
I said, because I enjoy running him.
Mm-hmm. Right,
And he told me, he said, well, Paul, I'm going to tell you this, being just serious as I can. He said, a man running a dog 8 years old, that don't say much for the rest of your pack. And we got to cutting up and laughing about that. And I said,
right.
I said, Barry, I tell you what I'll do. I said, I'm going to run him. I'll bring him to the Masters with me in 2 weeks. You going to do that? He said, why are you going to do that? I said, I'm going to bring him there, and I'm going to bet he. I said, how many are you going to run? He said, I'm running 5. I said, I'm going to run him against them 5. He said, I'm going to bet Hillbilly outscores all 5 of you. He said, it ain't no way.
Oh, no.
I said, okay. So we head off to Enid to the Masters. I got Hillbilly in the truck. And look, I'm having a large time with this.
Of course.
But anyway, because I didn't have nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's right.
Barry had everything to lose. But anyway, at the end of the day, Barry, he beat all 5 of Barry's dogs.
Oh, no.
And we had a lot of fun and with that and cut up. But the biggest regret I ever had in field trialing was at that moment. When he beat him, I withdrew that dog.
Oh, again.
I withdrew him again. He had a hunting score, and he had a high speed and drive score, and then the pen ran out of game.
Oh, no.
So it wasn't going to be any hard running on him the next 2 days. It wasn't going to be hard on him.
Oh, man.
You could have cut all 4 legs off, and he wasn't coming to the gate.
Right.
So
right.
I had a Masters with just, dog there that had the Masters
probably would have done it.
And I withdrew him.
Oh.
But it ain't the first mistake I've made. It won't be the last.
That's one of those ones you'll kick yourself in the butt the rest of your life.
Oh yeah, he was a dog. I'll be real quick with that dog.
No, yeah,
He was one of my favorites, but he was a dog, and I'm sure later we're going to talk about another one that kind of they remind me of each other.
right.
But and that's chili business. But
Yep, absolutely.
But he was a dog that could beat you in a 3-hour hunt or a 4-day hunt. It didn't matter.
Didn't matter.
He was the kind that you wanted to turn loose.
Had one speed, set on kill.
Yep. And he caught, I don't know how many coyotes he ever killed, or everybody looked at his head and it was a mess, and that's all everybody talked about when they saw him. But and the true sign to me, and I might sound crazy, I probably say a lot of things that other people don't say, but the true sign for me being a wolfhound for him is I never saw that dog bit an ankle. Never saw that dog bit on a leg. Everything was on the head.
Right.
That's not standing back and wanting your buddy to help you out. That's doing the job yourself.
That's getting it done. Yep. Getting it done. Yeah, that's tough. Yep. That's finding a dog that knows its speed and can hold it for that long. Just it sounds like he just had no drop is what it sounds like. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong there, but it sounds like when he knew what pace he needed to be at and could hold that crazy good pace for whatever you set him to do.
Well, his Hillbilly's winning or not winning was determined on what game he got after. And I say that to a lot of people at a lot of hunts.
Right.
A good piece of game's gonna win the hunt for you.
Right.
You've got to have a really good dog, but the right game is what you're banking on. And a lot of people don't realize that or don't believe that. But I'm telling you, if he had a good coyote in front of him that could stay in front of him, he could win.
Yep.
Because he wasn't gonna switch, and that's another key. Dog run a coyote out there and drop it and look for something else to do or somebody else to help him, or a Me Too dog. You can't win with him. You gotta have a dog that locks on to a coyote and runs him. But
that's right.
And when you got that, the game determines.
100%. 100%. We talk about that a lot up here in Virginia. You get locked onto a gray up here in Virginia, that's a game changer for your hunt. You get on a gray that doesn't want to quit and wants to run around in a circle for an hour and a half, that tight looping, man, you can rack up some scores on a good gray. God, I would kill to have a good gray. My dogs get on a good gray every hunt. Every hunt. All right, so I think that's probably going to wrap on the dogs of the past. And now that I'm not skipping over the best or one of the best ones, the Hounds Tales podcast would like to take a minute and talk about our friends over at Cajun Lights. When pleasure running at night or judging those nighttime field trials, you can put your trust in Cajun Lights. With the economical Cajun Bayou for the every now and then light user, the Cajun Micro for the nighttime feeds and around the house times. Then the top level Cajun Blinder for those hardcore crossing getters at night. The Cajun Lights are headlamp style light that free up your hands for voice recorders or your GPS. They offer flood style lights in red, amber, and a white walking light. Then the top of the line 4-level main beam light. If you're having a hard time catching crossings at night, give the Cajun Light a try, and the red and amber setting to catch the game without distracting them, and with the easy flick of a switch, go back to your main beam light to catch your hounds in action and get those numbers. Visit their website today at CajunLights.com, and at the checkout, make sure you fill out the survey after your purchase and select Hounds Tales Podcast to receive 5% off your next purchase with Cajun Lights. Now, let's get back to the episode. So let's talk about some of your current dogs and some of your big time, your dogs that are doing some producing for you right now. Now one, we talked. I remember a couple months ago we had talked, and you hit the nail on the head. You said you didn't want none of these up here, and that was your brindle dogs, monkey boots.
Yeah. Well, we had monkey boots, and then he I won the Top Gun with monkey boots, and
Right.
I won a few hunts with that dog. That was a really nice dog. He was,
Mm-hmm.
and I go back to Hillbilly and some of the other ones as far as being measuring sticks.
Right.
The first time that dog, and I had some really good dogs to measure. First time that dog ever hit foot in my pen there, he was as good as he was the last day he was there.
No kidding.
And I just fell in love with that dog. But I was kind of, I'm not gonna say I was prejudiced, but I was kind of like, I've got a guy here lives that starts a lot of puppies for us.
Right.
Helps a lot. Good guy. Him and my dad were really good friends. Sam Leger. Now listen, if you say anything about a brindle dog in front of him, he's gonna run sideways. He don't want nothing to do with him.
Sounds like me.
I'm not gonna say I was that bad, but I was. I really didn't want a brindle dog.
Right.
But I'm gonna tell you, monkey boots made me love brindle dogs.
I tell you what, I seen the picture of him, and I am not, like I said, I am not a brindle dog person, but that was a pretty dog. Golly, that was a good looking dog. Just the pictures that I've seen of him.
Yeah. And then we did a lot of winning with that dog, and he won a bench.
Yeah.
Larry Etheridge was the bench show judge, and he tried every way in the world not to give it to him, but he didn't have no choice. But anyway,
that's tough.
That dog was out of a dog called Black Smoke Guinea D.
Okay.
And the dog Trent Loper on. And
right.
We ran Hillbilly, and I tell you, back in the day when Hillbilly was really running, Black Smoke was probably the only dog I ever seen run with Hillbilly at my place. If you came there to run with me, that was the only dog I ever seen run with him. And I was blessed to get that monkey boots.
Right.
And really blessed. But then he got cut by a hog at the World Cup. We had a hog in
wow.
the World Cup there, and he got cut, and we had him at the vet, and he got infected, and he became septic, and we lost him. And it wasn't supposed to happen,
Right.
It was I don't want to say neglect, but the vet didn't do what they were supposed to do.
I understand. Yep, I understand.
But he slipped away from us. But look, I got blessed with monkey boots too. And
right, that's what I was going to ask.
He looks exactly like him, and probably a better mouth. And man, he's producing.
I got you. Does it, is it like, is it kind of like we were talking about earlier? It seems to be a parallel. Like they run. Does Monkey Boots 2 run a lot like Monkey Boots? How did they compare as far as running?
A lot like him.
Gotcha.
A lot like him. They both have similar mouths, and
mm-hmm.
I would say Monkey Boots, the first was a little more. He was very, very smart. He was very, very smart, and he would, he didn't carry the Bible under his arm.
Right.
He'd do whatever he needed to do to get in front. He was pretty sharp.
I gotcha.
Monkey Boots 2 is probably way more track running dog.
Okay, I gotcha.
Really good nose. Both hounds are really good outside.
Gotcha. What is the other side of Monkey Boots 2? What did you take Monkey Boots 2 to get him?
It was a Butler's Little Bill Jip called J&K's Pistolani.
Okay, I got you.
I'm going to say Pistolani's out of she's out of a Jip. one of my gyps out of Rusty. I think he's gonna have Rusty on the bottom side. I think Monkey Boots has got 2 crosses or 2 or 3 crosses of Rusty on his
Rusty.
pedigree also.
Right.
But Pistolani was Butler's Little Bill on the top, and then I'm gonna say goes back to Rusty on the bottom.
Okay, I got you. That is it. I'm assuming it sounds like that was probably some of your first brindles.
I've had brindles, you know,
Yeah.
on and off, but you know, just kind of like one day type dogs that.
Right.
That I don't want to be, brindle dogs, that they get the trait from July.
Right.
But
right.
a lot of brindle dogs, not all, and I don't want to step on anybody's toes here.
Yeah.
But a lot of brindle dogs get the rap of being one day and not real tough.
Yes. Right.
And I don't want to breed for that.
I understand.
I want a dog that's just like all these Walker dogs that we breed to. I want them to be able to run 3 hours or 3 days. I want them to be hunting dogs. Go hunting when you go hunting. So that was the first dog. I'm going to say Monkey Boots is the best brindle dog I had ever saw. And I just held on to that. I said, if that brindle dog, runs the way he does, if I can get him to produce, that'll be it's just like anything else. We go through fads and with these dogs, and I think he's made a big impact in the brindle dog business.
I believe you're right. The name seems to be popping up more and more, that's for sure.
We're getting a lot of calls wanting them.
Well, you won't be none for me about wanting them, I can tell you that.
We're gonna get you one.
Oh, come on now.
We bred a cur gyp to him, a cow dog to him.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I think we sold every puppy.
I believe it.
For deer and hog dogs. And there's one left now, and I'm gonna save him for you. It's a red one. It ain't
golly, now you're really going the wrong way. You killing me. Red and brindle. You just spitting my Wheaties is what you did there. Oh man. So another one, that you're working with now. I know that was one of the late ads in here. I want to save some of these other ones for last. Long Black Train. What's that dog story? We're going to take a quick second and pause this episode and talk about our partners over at Elite Nutrition. Our hounds, they're athletes, guys. They give us their all each and every time that they're casted. Elite Nutrition offers an all-natural products to give your dogs the natural benefits they deserve. From the canine remove and all-natural wormer to the Electro Boost paste for an electrolyte replenishment, body fluid balance, and blood flow improvement. They also have products like Active Dog Powder for recovery and joint muscle support, Essential Dog Powder for daily vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, and enzymes, and then the Canine Lactate Powder for nursing dogs to help with milk supply. There are tons of other products for y'all to check out at CajunLights.com, then click on the Elite Nutrition section to explore. When you go check out, only at CajunLights.com, use the code HTElite10 to receive 10% off your Elite Nutrition products. Again, that's HTELITE, the number 10, to receive 10% off Elite Nutrition products only via CajunLights.com. I've been using their products over the past couple months, and I could not be happier with the results. See for yourself today, and we want to thank Elite Nutrition for taking a step forward into this field trial sport. Now, let's get back to the episode, guys.
That dog's a last cross on Jaybird.
Okay.
He's a mate to the Jaybird 2 dog. We've bred a pretty good bit to Jaybird 2. Jaybird 2 got hurt at early age. We placed and won an outside hunt or two with him, but I never put him back in the pen.
Gotcha.
I've never turned him loose in a pen. We only run him outside. A big, nice dog, but both of those dogs are brothers, and both of those dogs are off of a gyp we call Lakehills Firebird.
Okay. Yeah.
She's produced a lot of a lot of good dogs for us out of every dog we've bred her to. She's probably one of the best producer and gyps we've got right now. But
Right.
that's her mother, and we bred her to Jaybird. She's out of a dog I had. Dog I only ran outside. I called him Lakehills Big Red. He was off a J&R Nitro dog that came off Barney's Bud. And,
Okay. Yeah.
you know, Barney's Chase dog. That's some good stuff.
Right.
And then, you know, on the bottom side of Big Red was Hemp Hill's Josh. Goes back to Benji, Terrebone's Benji.
Okay. Yeah. I got you.
Yep. And then she'll have some Rusty on the bottom of her also.
Right. Yeah. Does it seem like your long black train dog? Is that he seem to be throwing pretty good now?
Well, I'll tell you this: we're fixing to start the first pups off him.
Okay.
That dog, I can tell you a weird deal about him. I place that dog everywhere, every hunt I put him in.
Right.
And he's a big black dog. He's the kind of dog I like to look at.
Right.
And he is my measuring stick right now.
Gotcha.
I take him, and you know, if I'm going to buy a dog, he's got to run with him. I don't want him to beat him. He just needs to run with him.
That's right.
And 'cause we buy a lot of dogs, and
yeah.
And I just I want that dominant male dog that looks good, that you can take out there and make one hold a standard.
Right.
So
and that's him right now.
But he that dog placed every hunt I was in, and he was at the Texas State in March in 22. I don't know what place he was, but I had to leave that hunt. That's when Dad was sick.
Oh, I got you.
And Dad died there soon after. Then a lot of things in my life went in a whirlwind. Then
Understood. Understandable.
A lot of people know all the things, but that's for a different time and different place. You know.
Understood.
That could be a real good story about a testimony of somebody's life. But you know, Mom lived a year and 7 days after Dad died.
Okay.
So Train sat in the pen at the prime of his life. He didn't get to go anymore.
Understood. Yeah.
And then, you know, I had some good friends, the Baileys, Charlie Bailey and little Charlie down there in South Louisiana. They had tried to buy him, and they wanted, I wouldn't sell him, and so they just took him while I was in the dark. You know, I was in a tough time. You know, they
understandable.
Took him.
Yep.
We never got him to breed a gyp. They wanted to breed a gyp. They never got nothing bred, and then I brought him when I got him back home, and things turned around. Yep. I never could get a gyp bred to that dog, and we fooled with that dog. He just wasn't interested. You crack the gate, he's ready to go hunting.
Right.
So I'm going to say 8-10 months ago, we got that dog started breeding, and he's the best breeder I've ever had.
No kidding.
One day he just decided to breed a gyp, and from that day on, he's the best breeder, you know, I've ever had here as far as handling the gyp, not being aggravated, and everything goes smoothly.
Yep, that's what he needs to do.
So we're hoping that he fills a big void that we have here. You know.
I understand. Well, I hope nothing but the best for that. It's definitely a powerful story behind that. I'm you know, at that point, I hope it all lines up, even for just that. For that reason right there, I hope it works out for y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
He's a dog that he definitely possesses the traits that I like.
Right.
So I think the sky's the limit for that dog.
There you go. Sometimes the ones that didn't have the chance to prove it are the ones that are going to produce it.
Right. I placed that dog a good bit, and all the locals around here know him really good. You know.
Right.
I ran him. He's 5 or 6. and I ran him. I think I ran him in a 1-day money hunt last year, and he was third or fourth at 6.
I gotcha.
So he's. I can put a number on him, take him anywhere I want right now.
I like it.
But
I like it. I like that name too.
And he's from a family.
Okay.
You know, he's from a good family. You know, there's a gyp up in Virginia that places a red gyp up there that's off of Jaybird and Lakehills Firebird. She's placed a lot up there.
Is that the one that Zach Lindsay's got?
I think so.
Yeah. I thought that was the one you're talking about. Yep, that's a good looking dog. I've watched that dog run. That dog won one of my podcast hunts last year in the series.
Right.
Yep, that's a fun dog to watch. That was one of my favorite ones to watch of the series. I don't even like red dogs, but that was a good looking dog to watch run.
Yep.
So let's talk about probably my favorite dog that you have currently, and I'm sure you can know where this is going, Mr. Big Bender. That's the man. Every time you post a picture of that dog, I am all over it. God, that's a good looking dog.
Yeah,
that is a sharp dog.
My wife does all that the social media stuff. She's a Facebooker, so
right.
A lot of times I don't know what's going on there and have no idea. And people are calling me about them. And, man, what is this? I'm blindsided. But yeah,
right.
You know, if we go back to the first part of this conversation, I told you about a dog named Will Hagen that Dad had. It was white.
Yeah, right.
That dog. That white dog is what keeps me after a really good white. I'm not saying that Bender is that dog.
Right.
But he possesses some of those traits, and I like him. And man, I'll tell you what, that dog is his mother's a champion. Jones is Jill, and she'll go back to Rusty in there and Jeremiah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But and he's out of a dog they called Big Bender W, North Louisiana. I think he won the Sling County. He's a lotto dog.
Okay, yep. Henderson's out, yep.
But this dog is very, very intelligent. He's a smart dog. He can run something. He's classy, hunts.
Right.
He does a lot of things that the old-timey white dogs did.
Right.
But yet he's got that speed.
Gotcha.
He's got the speed, and he's tough. Dog's kind of he's got some miles up on him now. You're probably not going to see him much more, if any.
Yeah.
I might try to get one hunt out of him. I don't know, but man, that dog's had some rough luck, and like I said, I don't run a lot of white dogs, and I've kind of screwed up a little bit with him as far as his number on him. As far as not having it died good enough.
Yeah.
You know, probably there's nothing better than a died out dog with a white number on it.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
And it's most enjoyable at a field trial when you catch them. You ain't got to fool with nothing.
Right.
But I really messed up at the Top Gun. I had 2 judges come tell me that I messed up with his number.
Yep.
And you know, he was right there at the door. But
that's the ones that are hard to swallow.
Yeah, and I won the bench with him there at the Western Derby.
Yep.
It'll be a year and a half ago, and
right.
the dog was 11th. He's like tied for 10th. And I go to the Breeders' Cup, and he's 3rd. He was a high dog the second day. The second day. And placed that dog a little bit more, but
right.
You know, the heartbreaker for me with Bender was at the All-American this year. You know, he's set 10th after the first day. Then he moved to like 12th. Then after the 3rd day, he moves to 8th, and he's leading the hunting. And you know, I said, we got it where we want it. You know,
right.
And you know, that we take what hurt Bender is he thrives off a bunch of dogs.
Okay.
We go from 280 or right at 300 down to 42, and that killed me.
I got you.
In 2,000 acres.
Yeah.
But I don't think, Paul Kasky says if he scores 400 tomorrow, it's going to be hard to beat him.
Right.
Well, he scored 435. And he tied, I think they were tied from 12th all the way to 6th in HDA points.
Oh my gosh.
So all he needed was something.
One more point.
Something.
Yes.
Just something.
Give me a pack score. One pack score.
Yeah. But that's how it happens. And
oh my gosh.
So but I don't think, and I don't think I'll be wrong in saying this. Anybody was there for 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
Can't go away from there and saying he was one of the most dominant dogs there, because he was. A lot of people talked about that dog. A lot of people got to see that dog at his best.
Right.
And I'll say this: he win, lose, or draw, he performed at the All-American.
Now, that's something, that's a hunt that I have. It's another one of my bucket list hunts right now that I haven't had the chance to go, and I have every intention, and just to make it to the last day, that right there is just that's good all in itself. That's a accomplishment all in itself, and then to go and compete and be at the top of your game on the 4th day is just even more incredible. So,
I had 4 make the cut.
Wow.
I ran 5, had 4 make the cut.
That's a good week.
And I say, 4 out of 40 is we're pretty stout right here.
That's
we're 10% of it.
Yeah, that's good chances.
But it didn't work out like I thought.
Right. Well, I know here recently too, he was the combination winner, and I think he went category correct if at the Nationals last year. Am I thinking correctly on that with Big Bender? At the Nationals, yes, sir.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I thought that was right. Yeah, I thought that was right. He that was man, just that. I remember seeing that dog, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, yep, I'm in love." So whenever I do make a trip down there, that's the dog that I want to be on the top side, and whatever I get from you.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of them coming off him. There's a lot of gyps bred to him.
Awesome. We may have to talk a little business here soon then.
Yeah, and that dog right there, he possesses some of those traits I was talking to you earlier about. He's nice to hunt outside. He's
gotcha.
going to find you something. And again now, where I hunt outside and y'all's hunting up there is a little different.
Right.
These deer and game here is a little far and few between.
Well,
it's not easy access all the time. We spend a half a day hunting.
That's the kind of dog I like. Yeah, I like those kind of dogs though on the outside.
Yep.
I hunt them old tree stock dogs, so I'm all for some all for some hunting.
Right.
Well, let's talk about these last two. Before we move on to the last couple little talking points, and I don't know how close these are related, but Lakehills Chili Business and All Business, how close are they?
Same dad.
I thought so.
They're both off of Fraser Brothers Businessman.
Gotcha. Well, you take the reins, whichever one you want to talk about first.
Well, both are passed on.
Gotcha. Okay.
And, they're gone, but we'll start with the latter of the two, and that's All Business.
Right.
He was out of a Macmillan's little D Jip and Alf Fraser Brothers Businessman.
Okay.
He, I will say, and again, I don't want to step on anybody's toes.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that dog probably possesses one of the best, if not the best, field trial record that's out there.
No kidding.
I think, he placed in the All-American. He placed in the Masters.
Mm-hmm.
He placed in International at a year old.
Right.
He placed at the World Cup.
Wow.
Did I say the Masters?
Yep, Masters, yep.
All-American, International.
Yep.
I don't know, and a lot of state hunts.
Wow.
But I don't know of a dog out there that's placed in those major hunts, all of them.
Yeah, I was going to say
in the same year.
No kidding.
I don't know if there's one out there.
It's not. If it is, it ain't many of them.
Yeah, but he, he wound up second in Hound of the Year, and he was,
right.
Any given little thing happen one way or the other, he wins it. And I thought he should have won it, but it was a tight race to the end.
Who was the dog to beat him out?
The dog Robbie Bogue had.
Crap.
Was it Bonnie?
Yeah. That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, she was.
Well, I don't think that I had realized that they had passed on.
Yeah, he all business has been gone probably 2 years. He had a heart attack right here in these kennels.
Wow.
He was fine, and then
all of a sudden,
kind of like he had a little seizure or something, and I let him out of his pen, and I laid him down right there. And
yep. Damn.
That was it
tough.
for him.
That's tough.
But Chili, we've been babysitting him since October.
I got you.
And he had some health issues that just started all at once, and it was his kidneys, and he gets so many of them.
Right. It really does.
But man, we'd get him over it, and he'd back and forth, and we bred some gyp. We kept breeding gyps to him, and then they got to where he didn't catch, and we decided to put him down in a place where he was still good. And we didn't want to see him getting like some have gotten. And
I can respect that.
We wanted to be good to him because he was dang sure good to us.
Yeah. I see. And you correct me if I'm wrong, but Texas State and the All-American champion.
Yes, he won Texas State, All-American field and dual. Won the bench at the All-American.
No kidding.
Yep.
No kidding.
Field,
and he was a good producer too.
Chili, as far as if we go back to all business, I've got a really good all business gyp here off of Firebird.
Okay, yeah.
The gyp that's Train's mama and Jaybird 2's mama.
Okay.
I've got a really good all business gyp, and she's bred now to Bender.
Okay.
But if we go back, I'm gonna say I never saw all business, and I'm being honest here, but I didn't see him produce like I really wanted him to.
Right.
He was a freak of a hound.
Right.
Sometimes I didn't even think he was real. The things he did.
Right.
And he didn't have to have any rest. He was just so durable. That dog's biggest quality was he was durable.
Just keep taking the punches.
Yeah. But as far as producing, Chili business, he produced.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of good dogs off him now. It's probably if we're going to back up to Rusty, and I didn't have long with Chili business, but I think he was going to produce his equal. I mean,
right.
You breed him to a gyp, every one of them's going to run. Just how good.
That's
they're
right.
going to all be average to really good.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be picking through a litter and saying, well, this one's no good, this one's no good, this one's all right. You're just going to
pick the best out of them.
They're going to run.
Right.
When you breed a gyp to Chili business, they were going to run. And Chili business was, I'm going to compare him to Hillbilly. He was that kind of dog that wanted to get after something, run it till he caught it. Big fine dog.
Right.
Big, aggressive, dominant male, and he
love that.
He was a wolfhound.
Love that. And you just had two dogs at the futurity you placed off of him. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep.
I thought that was right.
They're out of the dog that was second on the speed and drive was out of Chili Business and out of a jip a buddy of mine's got called, and she was a B&B steady jip. That's Chase is Ready is the
okay,
name on that
yeah.
place.
Yep.
But the third place dog was second speed and drive was a dog I have here, and I'm going to try to breed to him. We call him Load. He's out of one of the better jips that I've owned, and that was Lakehills Golden Girl, and she was a hillbilly jip out of a Millionaire jip.
Gotcha.
And we got one litter out of her, and that's the litter, and they did good at the futurity. Yep.
Yeah.
Real good.
You definitely had a good week down there. That's for sure.
Yep.
That's for sure. Well, did we miss any hounds? Was there any that you can think of off the top of your head that we may have missed? I'm sure you got 1,000 of them.
We've missed some, but we could probably talk hounds all night.
I was gonna say. The Hounds Tales podcast is happy to announce our newest partnership with Low 10 Outfitters. If your kennel is looking for new apparel to rock to the next field trial, look no further than Low 10 Outfitters. They offer shirts, hats, hoodies, coats, and other accessories with custom logos for your kennel or your hound to go on. With top quality merchandise and long-lasting quality, you can't go wrong with Low 10 Outfitters. And very soon we will be offering Hounds Tales podcast apparel on their website at low10outfitters.com. So be on the lookout for that coming up here soon. Thank you, Low 10 Outfitters, for teaming up with the Hounds Tales podcast. And don't forget, guys, low10outfitters.com to get your apparel for your kennels. Now, let's get you back to your episode. Let's get into these last couple of hitting points real quick. And your year's been, just watching your year on Facebook, how's your year been going so far?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
I tried something that I probably shouldn't have. I went to the All-American, went to the Texas State, and then to the Breeders' Cup 3 weeks in a row, and that don't work. Then I got down there to the Texas State, and I shouldn't have ran, and then I ran those dogs back at the Breeders' Cup, and it showed up when I got to the Breeders' Cup. There was 2 or 3 of those dogs that I placed
right
out there in Texas the first day, and then I placed them again the first day in Alabama, but I just ran out of dogs.
Yeah. That's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask out of them and you.
Well, I wasn't going to do it, but they didn't have any running at Texas State much, and I said, well, I can probably take these dogs back, but
we'll go see.
But I tried to do too much.
Yeah. Well, like a lot of people say, you don't know until you try, right?
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. But we placed in each one, except the All-American. We categorized in hunting. Bender categorized third. It was fourth, but I couldn't ask for anything better at the All-American. I had 4 dogs that made the cut, and that's with 42. That was unheard of, and I was just blessed.
Right. And I've heard that everybody that talks about that hunt said it was one of the best put-on hunts that they've been to in a long time. Really good hunt. Good hunt. Wish I'd had every dog I could run there. Right.
It was a really good hunt. Brad Richardson I'd say is one of the nicest pens in the country. He does a good job with it.
Right.
Tick as well. Brad's got the best help he could find there.
Love it. And, that's awesome.
But I'll tell you this, we were talking about being blessed, and
yeah.
We were talking about later on down the road one day a testimony of what God's done in your life. Right. Going to that All-American this year, I wouldn't trade it for the world, because I met a guy there that I've seen, but we visited a lot.
Yeah.
And we had a really good time there, and we've been in contact since. And you could ask me. You could say, Paul, would you want to win the All-American, or you want to trade it for meeting Jim Keel? And I tell you what, I'd take Jim Keel over winning that hunt. I'm glad I met him, and I'm glad I was blessed enough to go there and be around him.
Wow.
And I say this: one day you need to get him on here, and we need to get his testimony on here about what God's done in his life, because it'll blow you away.
Absolutely.
And that it's not always about winning a hunt. It's about who you're going to run across.
That's right.
And this sport has put some really good people in my life.
I love that.
Put some bad people in my life. I ain't going to.
Right.
But I tell you what, the good outweighs the bad.
That's it. It always does. It's funny how the good Lord just knows who to put and when to put and where to put people in your lives too.
Yeah. But I met that guy, Jim, and he's a top-notch guy, and we hit it off. And I enjoyed my whole week there. And I enjoyed visiting him, talking dogs.
Right.
Good houndsman.
Awesome. Well, you extend it out to him, and if he has any interest, I'd love to hear his story.
Oh man, it's something else.
I'd love to hear it one day. We can make that happen for sure. You just let me know. Let's we'll hit these last couple ones. Here's some little trivia questions, I guess you could call it, here at the end of this thing. What is a hunt that you do not miss each year, and why is this a hunt that you're 100% going to?
Well, I guess without a doubt, we got the hunt we just talked about, the All-American.
All-American, yep.
Yeah, for me, it's the best format. It's the best way to find the best dog in the country.
Right.
I just like it. I like the fellowship.
Yeah.
I like everything about it. I like the people that put it on. Mike Carr's been the secretary there ever since I can remember.
Right.
He can put on a hunt, and Junior Jones was the president this year, and he did a great job.
Awesome.
But man, that's a nice hunt to go to.
Yeah.
It's just like, I guess it's the Super Bowl of hunts.
That's right. It's a
4-day hunt with I've never been to a hunt where you call out the cut list and all 40 or 50. Usually it's about 70 on that when it's on the outside. It's got a lot of dogs.
Right.
If you make the cut list, it's just like you won the hunt at anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it's just a lot of fellowship that goes on during that week. A lot of good people, the best houndsmen in the country there, and you get to see a lot of good dogs.
Love it.
And I think this year was a carbon copy of how it should be.
Yeah. I highly, highly, highly regret not going. I'd said all winter long that I was going to make the effort to get down there, and it just did not line up and did not work out, and I regretted it ever since.
Yeah, it was a good hunt.
So, another question I had wrote down for you was, you've accomplished so much. I mean, like you said, we just listening and talking to you, and you've had a very blessed field trial career and hunting career. What's left? What's left for you to do out there? Is there anything left on the chalkboard that you need to put that mark beside?
I've been blessed. You've touched on it. I grew up wanting to run dogs, and I've been blessed with that opportunity. I went to work right out of high school for the prison right up here by me, and I was on the dog team.
Okay.
We trained dogs. We ran dogs. We did that. And
very nice.
All of my life, that's all I've done is run dogs. And for me to get to this point and be somewhat, it's 3/4 of my living comes from horses, but
right.
the rest of it comes from dogs. And
Yeah.
be able to run dogs for a living
that's a blessing.
It's what I want to do.
Right.
The best job you can find is find something you love to do and do it.
That's right.
So I've been blessed to be able to do that. I probably, my dad, he scratched his head many times with me. I had a scholarship to play baseball at junior college.
No kidding.
And a scholarship to play football at a junior college.
Wow.
And I turned both of them down. I came home. I wanted to come home to Mama, and I wanted to come home to my dogs, and that's what I did.
I can't blame you one bit. Not one bit.
And so that's how we ended up here, and I have accomplished a lot. But I'll tell you, the question you asked, I've never won the Masters.
No kidding.
I've sold a dog the week before, and it won it. And I've sold a dog that was second. Sold a dog was third. I think all at the same hunt.
Right.
And I was just as happy as I could be for those fellas. But I have never won that hunt. I've been close.
There you go.
There's the
check mark.
But
there's your Eleanor.
That's the one. That's the one, and that I've been to, and I've been to it for so long.
Right.
But
just can't get it to check.
The Nationals in Futurity,
Yeah.
I'd love to win the Futurity or the Nationals. Probably the Futurity would be on my top of the list as far as breeding the dog and running it, winning it with a young dog. And I thought I had a chance this year, but I was close.
You were close. You were right on top of it. It's now time for the Spotlight, presented by Cajun Lights. This is where each week we will recognize winners and other accomplishments across the field trial world. Now let's shine a light on these guys and these dogs, and let's get to this week's winners. All right, this week I do apologize. I slacked up. If you're watching the video, you can probably still see the bags under my eyes. It was a very long weekend. Extremely tired, and I did not have much chance to get to around the How notes, but I did get the results from 2 hunts, of course the Tidewater, and then we'll start with the James River that was down at Tar River. Let's start off. I did not see any names on the bench show, so I do apologize for that. I know CMK's was the winner, was the best in show. So I do apologize for not seeing the names of the dogs. But I do know that for the most part. So let's start off with the Derby class. The best mouth was Opie's Lil J. The dog's out of Opie's JJ and Wolf Trap Babe from Opie Kennels. Classiest hound for the Derby class was Jack 'em Up Slick, and that dog's out of Rock Springs Blacktop and Country Oaks Venom from Jack 'em Up Kennels. The combination winner was Cracker Jack's Coffee, and that dog's out of Cracker Jack's Batman, and Cracker Jack's Neptune from Cracker Jack Kennels. And the winner for the James River Derby class was Shelton's Sally C. That dog's out of Champion Thompson's Humpy and Shelton's Lucy from High Pressure Kennels. The all-age, the best mouth was Opie's Tan Man. The dog's out of Champion Open's Ring and His and Hers Goldie from Opie Kennels. The classiest hound was my buddy Hamlet, MJ Hamlet, and that dog's name is Hamlet's Jesco, and that dog's out of Hamlet's Nightmare and Hamlet's Buggy. That dog's a beautiful dog, guys, I'm telling y'all. Great dog to watch run. Love watching that dog run. The combination winner was a dog called Legend. That dog's off of P&J's Dallas and Chasing Time Pearl from Lamb Down Kennels. And the field champion this year for the James River, passing along the torch, it goes to DPK's Darren. That dog's out of Ray's Ace J and Champion DPK's Tutu. All right, let's move into the Tidewater. Going to the best opposite sex. Dog's name is FC's Big Willie, and that dog will be brought up later. Hint, hint. That dog's out of Sire of the Year, Champion B&B's Chrome, and Champion B&B's Twister from Field Creek's Kennels. And if you remember back to our 2-day that we put in, that is also the winner of our 2-day hunt that we put on back here a couple months ago. The best in show, and also was the bench show winner back at our 2-day. Seems to be a common thing around there. I'm gonna have to check you guys. No, I'm just kidding. No, when you're hot, guys, and congratulations. The dog's name is Champion Gregory's Tallyho. That dog is off of Champion Gregory's Chase and Champion Gregory's Jinxie from Double M Kennels. So congratulations, Mr. Mike Gregory, on your bench champion. Let's move into the Derby class. The best mouth was Piney Swamp Garner, and that dog's out of Piney Swamp Kennels. I did not see the breeding on that dog. The classiest hound was Bunch's Pepper, and that dog's out of Butler's Trident C and King's Millie from Bunch and Sons Kennels. The combination was a dog called Katie from Stone Mills, out of Stone Mill Spears, and BA's Sriracha from Stone Mill Kennels. In your Derby winner was a dog called Super Sport from Champion B&B Superstar and Champion B&B's Lucy Lou out of Old School Kennels. For the all-age, the classiest hound was Woods Delta Road Roxanne. The dogs out of Woods Delta Road Rocket and Rodeo Mac-Ann. That dog's from Rob and Audria Woods. So congratulations, Mr. Canada. Miss Canada. No, I'm glad it was worth the ride. Come down here and get you some. So I hope y'all had a safe trip back, guys. The combination and dual champion is a dog called FC's Big Willie. That dog's out of Sire of the Year, Champion B&B's Chrome, and Champion B&B's Twister from Fields Creek Kennels. Congratulations, guys. That is a strong, great-looking hound. And the champion and best mouth this year for the Tidewater is Webb's All-Star. That dog's out of Butch's Red Jack and Dial Sandy from Jordan Webb. Congratulations to everybody this weekend that placed and won. Big shout-out to everybody for putting on the hunts. Great hunts again. I know there was another hunt this weekend, but I did not see any of the results, so I do apologize for that, and I will try to put those in whenever I can. So, and I think I did miss some hunts. I know I had one or two guys message me, and I do apologize. I just got really behind on that, and I will put those into next week's episode. I do apologize for that again. But that is all I have. It's time for the listener question section presented by the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine. If you're looking for a magazine that reaches all of your all things hound hunting, the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine has it. From foxhounds, deer dogs, hog dogs, small game dogs, you name it, the Southern Hound Hunting Magazine has it. Visit their website today at southernhoundhunting.com to get a 1-year subscription of quarterly magazines for just $20. Now let's get to these questions and we'll discuss these topics that y'all sent in. Thank y'all so much, Southern Hound Hunting Magazine, for your partnership.
Yeah.
Right there on top of it. All right, so our final question here, our closing question is, and this one I can't wait to hear. If you had to build a Mt Rushmore for hounds that you've competed against, what are some of your what is your top 4 hounds that you've competed against that were not yours?
Dang, 4's hard to...
I know it.
4, that's hard.
That's tough.
It's hard. I'm going to say, right off the top of my head, it's got to be Webb's Red Gal.
Okay.
You know, J.W. Webb owned her.
Yes, sir.
That was one of the best dogs I've seen run.
Yeah, yeah.
And her field, I'd say this, if you get back to all business's field trial record, she's going to be knocking on the door to him, right, or if not better.
Now,
you know, and she produced a lot. They bred her to Chili business, and I'm not Chili business. I'm sorry, they bred her to Chili, and
right,
they got Chili Man, and and all those
Okay.
dogs they breed to now.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so she produced as well, but she was a freak in
Right.
the field trial world.
Yeah.
We'll go back to a dog as far as here locally, and she didn't get out much.
Mm-hmm.
She was Mississippi, Louisiana, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she won Louisiana State. She won a Texas State, I know, but LeBlanc's Chocolate.
Okay. Yeah, I remember you talking about that one
I
earlier.
talked about her early. John LeBlanc and Conley Manning, they were partners on her.
Right.
I talked about both those men. They were instrumental in my upbringing as far as hounds.
Right.
But she was I'm gonna say I think she was by McGee's sticker, dog J.W. McGee and Roy McGee on.
Right.
But she was a good one. And we're going back. Some people might not even know these dogs, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna say Tiny Helms.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna say Tiny Helms. David Helms owned her, and
Yep.
man, she made my head turn. She made my head turn, and I'm gonna, we go back to that white dog, and what they represented 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But she wasn't. She was a runner now.
Yeah.
She was a good one.
They were the staple back then.
Yeah. And you said 4, I'm gonna go
4.
5.
Okay, I like it.
I'm gonna put a dog that I don't know how much money she ever won. And you're probably not even gonna know her, but her name was Bushley Creek Annie. I think she's in the Hall of Fame.
Okay, yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, but that Jip probably won more money than any dog I ever saw.
No kidding.
She was a good one.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna throw you a curveball here, and I'm gonna go recent.
Okay.
Because I think he needs to be noted. And the Boaz dog.
I tell you what.
I'm taking my hat off to that hound.
Yeah.
And
yeah. Them Chapman boys, they got that dog, and that they are hitting a lick with it.
He's done things. I've been field trialing all my life. It's nearly impossible to do what he's done.
Yeah.
Ain't no way a normal dog's gonna win the Top Gun and come back there and win the All-American.
It's
mind blowing.
It's mind blowing. It really is.
And we get back to talking about my buddy my newfound buddy Jim Keel.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows Chapman's good. He's high on Matt. I mean,
right.
We had a big good conversation about Matt and his testimony.
Okay.
I don't even know Matt that good, but
right.
I was talking to Jim. I said, Jim, it just don't add up how this dog can do what he done. That's a freak.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And we visited on it, and if I didn't see it, I wouldn't believe it, but I saw it.
Right.
I saw it happen. And I really, really like that dog. And I think that dog is special.
Right. There's no doubt in my mind about that. I mean, I haven't had the pleasure to watch it run and my own self, but just the results speak for itself enough.
Yeah.
And that's just it is incredible.
First time I watched him run, I got a really good friend in Missouri, Kelly Bishop. Me and him, we talk we talk pretty regular about dogs.
Right.
And dogs is not our number one topic, but we go from God to dogs.
Right.
When we get on dogs, it's what did you see? We visit back and forth, and I told him, I called him. I said, I ain't seen a dog like this in a long time. And were going to try to get him bought. But
I don't think that's going to happen.
They shut that down quick.
Yeah, I bet they did.
That was that Top Gun. Then he came back to haunt me there to All-American. So I wish them the best for that dog.
Yep, I fully agree. Good people, too. Really good people.
Really good people. And I tell you what, we talked about earlier about the dominant dog. It's hard to ever see a dominant dog in today's world because we got better hunters, we got better dogs, and we got people that are working harder now at it. They're working harder to win. You know, used to, I could have an average dog and I could outwork the next man and I could beat you.
Yep.
I did a lot of winning like that.
Yep. That seems to be a very common thing that I hear.
But now, I got to work just as hard as I ever did, if not harder.
Right.
And you got to have a better dog than the next fella. And that's hard to do.
That's hard.
The dog standards are way up now.
Yeah, I agree.
And I agree. Starting to give bigger purses and better things, and I like that. I'm excited about what the sport offers.
Awesome. I love seeing it too. I think it's, don't get me wrong. I think there's places and I think there's hunts that could stay, the quote unquote old school and stay the lower budget route, I guess is what you could say. And, the more financially friendly hunts, and I have the utmost respect for those hunts as well. But it is really neat seeing that these big hunts come in here and running for big prizes and different things and stuff like that. I think it's really neat and it's good for the sport.
All right.
But, well, Mr. West, I surely do appreciate this. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. And before we end this episode, do you have anybody you want to thank before we get off of here, and any kind of shout outs or anything like that before we get off?
I just, if I've got my dad, I got to thank. Like I said, I've been blessed.
Yes, sir.
And he led by example and put me in the place I'm in today. And I just thank the Lord that I've been able to do what I love to do.
Right.
And I thank, my family. My family stuck with me.
Yep.
It was hard times. I stayed gone a lot.
Right.
And I try not to anymore.
Yeah.
But I stayed gone and off field trialing and I didn't win what I've won and get the dogs that I've had without a lot of things, a lot of heartache. You're away from home, you miss a lot. I missed a lot of kid stuff.
Right. That's tough.
And I thank my family for sticking by me through it all.
I can respect that.
And it's paying off now.
That's right.
We don't have to go as far as much. Kind of things just kind of falling into place.
Perfect.
So
perfect.
I don't travel out as much, and I don't go to many hunts unless they're a big one. And it makes it harder on the dogs and harder on me. It's harder to win at these bigger hunts.
Right.
But I thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I've thoroughly enjoyed this. I know we've been talking about it for a while now, and I'm glad we finally got to get it all lined up and make it happen. I surely do appreciate it.
I enjoyed it, and anytime I'll do it again.
Absolutely. I'll hold you to it. So, well, everybody out there listening, I want to give a big shout out to y'all again. Thank y'all so much for sticking with me through all this, and hope y'all enjoyed the episode. And we will catch y'all on the next one. And like always, guys, happy hunting.